Again to Family Dynamics with Bola, where we grow with our children, lean into God's wisdom, and embrace the beauty and mess of parenting. So today, I'd like to ask you a question. Have you ever had a moment where you yelled at your child or snapped just because you were already tired? Or you just shut down emotionally because you didn't really know what else to do? God knows we've all been there. I know parenting is so beautiful, but gosh, it could be hard. And sometimes when we mess up, trust me, we will. You're not going to be perfect 24 hours, 7 days a week, and all that. So when we mess up, not if we'll mess up, when we do, I want to speak to the fact that it's not that mistake that actually defines us. It's what we do with that mess, what we do after we realize that we've messed up. So today, we're going to be talking about something I feel doesn't get discussed enough in parenting spaces. I want us to talk about how to repair the relationship after conflict. This episode is not about shame, it's not about blaming, it's not about finding fault. It's about grace and it's about growth, right? It's about how we can reconnect with our child even after things get really hard, and how we can build that trust again that actually lasts for a while. So let's normalize something real. Snapping, yelling, shutting down. This is sickness. It's not shame. It's a pointer to something, right? More oftentimes they come from either we have this emotional overload, or we're feeling something that we can really point to, or lack of sleep, lack of space, or you feel like you just have so much to do and you don't have enough time, right? And sometimes it comes from you actually feeling disrespected or feeling ignored. And oftentimes it comes from us as parents carrying unspoken pressure, or we're not really dealing with trauma that we have. So when you find yourself shutting down or yelling or snapping, it's a signal to something, right? And I'll tell you, I do remember uh, I and one of her mom, we were having a session, and then she told me how when she snapped at her 7-year-old child, they they spilled the juice again. They were trying to pour orange juice into a cup, and that child spilled that juice. It wasn't the first time that they would do that, but the way she yelled, it was just like the child just started crying. She was like, "Mom, I didn't mean to." And of course, there's no child that would, well, an average child would not deliberately spill juice when they are trying to pour it, right? And eventually, when we tried talking, and the mom just really felt bad. Like, okay, it's just juice. And then she realized it was more about something, everything else that she's been holding in. It was just more like a transfer of aggression. And this sound familiar, right? I mean, I can tell you stories and stories, and sometimes even in the house, I will have like no yelling challenge. Oftentimes, it's because of something that is going on inside of us. Sometimes it's even your spouse that you're angry at, right? But then any small thing that the kids do, you yelled or you snap at them. But one thing is, we're not bad parents, we're humans, you know, and we are also leaders. And as leaders, we take responsibility, and then we repair whatever's been broken, whatever ruin is there. We take responsibility and then we repair. And that's why we're having this episode today. So I'd like to talk briefly about why this repair is very powerful when we find ourselves having made a mistake with our kids, or we've conveyed something that it wasn't our intention, right? So when we repair that in different ways, and I will talk about some of the things that we could do when we repair that with our child, right? We're teaching them something that they would be able to use later in the future. We're teaching them how to handle their own mistakes, and they will make mistakes, Life life is never perfect. And that's why we've spoken about this often. Like, we should not let our kids be afraid of failure, right? They would make mistakes. So the way we take responsibility and we repair whatever's been broken teaches them too how to handle their own mistakes. And another thing that could help that when we reach out to repair, it's to build emotional safety for these kids. They know that that's not my mom, or if my mom made a mistake, she would apologize. And they can even tell that, okay, mom, what's going on? Especially when they're older and then they can tell you stuff. They're like, mom, what's going on? You're yelling much more than necessary, right? And another thing it could help them do, we're able to model grace, humility, and maturity to them. Understanding that no matter what level you get to, when you make mistakes, you can actually acknowledge it and seek for way to repair that, right? And we know that our kids, they don't actually need perfect parents. And believe it or not, how you recover from conflict with them can actually deepen the trust that they have for you, right? The way you recover from that conflict would help them see, okay, this is who my mom is, this is who my dad is. And research has shown us that secure attachment is built not by avoiding rupture, right? But by consistently repairing it. When you repair something that is broken, your kids can actually trust you, like, okay, um, when mom yells at us, we know that she doesn't really mean it. Something is going on with her. And then you see how they can really adjust. All right, let's talk about some of the pitfalls that I think it's very common and it's very easy for us to fall into, but I would love for us to just really avoid, right? Before I go into what we can do. So when you lose it, when you sleep in this journey of parenting, first thing I want you to do is don't pretend that it didn't happen. When you ignore it, it doesn't mean that it's going to go away. And it could actually teach our kids to suppress their own feelings too. And we don't want that. If you're from Africa, you know how it is, right? When your parents, maybe they've beaten you, or they now realize that you didn't even do that. Let's say they didn't really listen to you and they've made a mistake. Some of them, instead of them to apologize, they'll just be asking you, have you eaten? Do you want this? You better come here. I remember when my mom would beat me, she'd be like, you better come here, let me help you with that, right? So we don't want to do that. And another thing we don't want to do is we don't want to overcompensate. Sometimes, like I said, it'll be like, do you want jollof rice? Do you want ice cream? Buying your kids treats or just trying to please them, it's not a repair. It's actually you avoiding what you should confront. And it's not something that you want to teach your kids. And one other thing that I would love to really talk about is don't punish yourself. Self shame and all those things, it's a kind of emotional instability. It's modeling emotional instability, and we don't want that, right? It's not you taking ownership. Your child needs to see that, mistakes are part of growth. It's not who you are. So don't shame yourself. All right? So let's talk about some of the things that we can do to actually repair this relationship when we've goofed, right? The first thing is you want to regulate yourself first. You can only make a change to yourself and not another person. So the first thing you want to do before you actually do this repair that you're trying to do, calm down. I don't know if you've ever heard that, like, mommy, calm down. Take deep breaths, step away if you need to. If you need to pray, do that. But you cannot connect with your child when you're still in survival mode. So you need to be able to regulate your emotions first before you actually do anything. And the second thing I would suggest that we do is, acknowledge what has happened. Be honest about it, you know. And I'm telling you, I'm still learning this. Sometimes I'll be like, guys, I'm so sorry. I yelled at you earlier. I should not have done that. I was feeling this way. It's not you. It helps kids because sometimes kids they have different questions in their mind. So they don't really understand, okay, am I being stupid? And sometimes Satan begins to, sell lies to them. If we don't honestly acknowledge what has happened, it could it could send a wrong signal to them, right? And we don't have to dramatize it. The goal is for us to be clear and not guilt. And if they were wrong, you should tell them whatever it is, but you want to use simple language to communicate what has happened to them honestly and calmly, right? And then the third thing I'd suggest that we do is validate their own feelings too. Let them express what they felt when you did what you did. Even if they cry or say, Mommy, you scared me, it's okay. Let them say it. It's okay to feel upset, right? You can tell them that. It's okay to feel upset. I want to hear what it felt like for you so that it will help you to process things. No matter how young your kid is, your job as a parent is not for you to defend yourself. You're not there to defend you. It's because of this and all that. You are the adult here, right? So validate their feelings. And this thing that a lot of African parents don't like to hear, apologize clearly and age appropriately. You want to be able to apologize when you've done something wrong. It's just like we said, we're leaders and leaders take responsibility, right? A good apology sounds like, I'm so sorry I raised my voice at you. That wasn't okay. You didn't deserve that. You know, you don't want to say, but it is because of you. It is, don't make excuses. If you were wrong, just be honest, take ownership, right? I apologize for doing that. When you do this, it makes me feel this way. That's why I did that. If you were wrong, apologize clearly. And then you want to reconnect with them through actions. It's not just words, right? Because if you're not very careful, they'll begin to not be themselves around you. And you don't want that. You want your kids to be free. We're trying to connect with them. We're trying to be the safe place for them, right? Could offer them a hug if they're ready for it. You're like, okay, come here. I apologize. Or you could tell them, okay, let's do something that can calm them down together. And you want to reinforce to them, right? We all make mistakes. I love you so much. Let's say you said something that could really hurt them. Reinforce who they are, right? You can tell them, I really love you. We all make mistakes. Mommy just made her own mistake. And guess what? We grow from them, right? We grow from that. And sometimes you can say, can we reset? Can we reset after a very rough time? And that's just the power of teaching repair when we've had conflict. So this week, as we go out in this week, I'd love for you to reflect on this. What does repair actually look like in your own family? What are the things that you feel like you need to repair? And what are some of the language that you want your child to remember? Because this is really key. It's very easy for people to remember the bad stuff. So, what are some of the languages that you want your child to remember? And what does repair look like? I want you to sit critically, think about it, and then implement it so that you can reconnect with our kids. I'd like for us to close in prayers. Lord, I thank you for your grace that covers our parenting. And when we fall short, we are asking today that you give us the courage to repair with honesty, with love, and gentleness. Help us to model what healing looks like so our children can grow up knowing that even broken moments can actually lead to deeper connection. Amen. All right, I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, remember you're not raising perfect children, but you're raising kids who are going to take over the world, kids who are connected with you, kids who are resilient, kids who are deeply, deeply loved by their parents. Thank you so much for listening. This is Family Dynamics with Bola.